Hey guys, it's Sandeep from Rev Atlas, and in today's video we'll be taking a look at the 8th episode of the Behind the A-Pillar vlog series, and let's talk about OnePlus as a brand and sort of situation that OnePlus has themselves in with the OnePlus 5 smartphone. So the OnePlus dilemma is basically this. It started on a high with the OnePlus One. The smartphone was too good to be true. It had a great price to value ratio when it came to giving performance and features in return for a small amount of money, which almost seemed as if they were making a loss on every unit that they sold. So when you start off as a brand with such a smartphones on such a high, it becomes difficult to follow that on with a handset that even raises the bar higher. So when the bar is already set so high, it becomes difficult to produce a smartphone that's even better. And that sort of became an issue with the OnePlus 2, where they did try to cut corners as well. So that made it even more difficult for them to actually please the customers. As it is, it's difficult to one up a phone that is already good, and although their brand says OnePlus, which is one-upping each and every time, it becomes difficult for them to do so. And the OnePlus 2 did cut corners in terms of offering a proper USB Type-C solution. It didn't have fast charging, no fast speeds, etc., and overall was not quite as innovative or as good as the OnePlus One itself as a complete package. Now, after that, OnePlus 3 came along, and again they seem to have gotten their formula right, which was also due to the fact that people sort of went down in terms of expectations with the OnePlus 2, and many people held on from upgrading to the OnePlus 2 because the OnePlus One was still a great smartphone. Many people even went for the OnePlus One after the OnePlus 2 was announced because it was cheaper and was still a great phone. So when the OnePlus 3 came along, it did solve most of the issues that people had with the OnePlus 2. OnePlus are listening to their customers, but it's not always easy to implement all these changes in between a product cycle or in between the product development. So it takes maybe another product development cycle in order to make these changes. And all these changes were there in the OnePlus 3, and as a result, the smartphone was good and it did really well. So the bar that was set high has been raised even higher with the OnePlus 3. And then the 3T took it even a step higher. So while many people did face some of the issues with the OnePlus 3, OnePlus did listen to them and brought out a 3T version. So now again, they did receive some backlash for releasing a product so quick into the product cycle of the OnePlus 3. But what they're trying to do is actually please the customer. So they wanted to provide a product that is without any issues. So while the OnePlus 3 was great, there were still some of the issues that needed ironing out, and some of the people who bought the OnePlus 3 did feel cheated considering the 3T came out. But the fact of the matter is, if you weren't happy with the OnePlus 3 in the first place, you shouldn't have gotten it. You could have waited for the OnePlus 5 or maybe some other device that did make you happy. You don't have to settle for some device that you don't want, and that doesn't mean that you have to go for a OnePlus device. You can even go to some other device and get it. Their brand itself has never settled. So when the OnePlus 3T, which already won up the OnePlus 3, came out, the bar was set even higher, and it becomes difficult for a company to keep producing a smartphone that's better than the previous one in almost every single way. And it can't just be an incremental upgrade, especially since the OnePlus 3T and the 5, the name itself suggests a big improvement. And personally, I feel that the OnePlus 5 is a big improvement on many different levels. The performance is great. The front camera is amazing. The kind of build quality that you get, it doesn't exactly feel like an iPhone. If you try one in the first place, you'll know that this is not a copy of an iPhone. Of course, there are similarities in terms of design, etc., but it's actually quite a bit different. The way that the smartphone curves around the edges, the way it handles, the lightness, everything is quite different. You still have the world's fastest fingerprint scanner up the front as well. So overall, the OnePlus 5 is still a great smartphone, but it becomes difficult to please everyone, each and everyone, when it comes to a smartphone. And especially at this price point, I think you won't find many other smartphones with such a good value for money on the market right now, except for maybe the LG G6, and that too after the price was cut. Essentially, the G6 was a competitor to the Samsung Galaxy S8 and maybe the iPhone, but it ended up being a competitor to the OnePlus 5. So that is sort of an interesting situation right now. And if I were to recommend a phone between the two, if you're leaning towards the camera department, then I would probably recommend the G6. But other than that, the OnePlus 5 is a really solid smartphone, and in terms of speed, in terms of performance, durability, etc., the OnePlus 5 is a really great value for money handset. And I feel that regardless of what OnePlus put in this handset, if they had put waterproofing in this, if they had put better cameras at the back, if they had actually implemented a micro SD card slot or whatever, people will always find a reason to complain. People who want to complain will always find a reason to complain, and that's true regardless of what phone you are. For example, even the Galaxy S8, I think it's the most complete package you can get on the market right now, but I can still pinpoint some things that they could have done, especially considering the price point. The Galaxy S8 is double the price of the at least 128GB of the Galaxy S8 is double the price of the OnePlus 5, but that comes with 6GB of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. This comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 128GB of storage. So isn't Samsung also compromising there? Why are we not getting 8GB of RAM? But Samsung seems to get a bit less of backlash as opposed to OnePlus 5, because the OnePlus 5 had set the bar, I mean OnePlus as a brand had set the bar too high. And considering the fact that the device is just half the price, 76,000 for the S8 128GB edition, this is just 38,000 for the OnePlus 5 128GB edition with 8GB of RAM. So isn't Samsung also compromising, and why isn't Samsung getting as much of a backlash as the other companies? That's because Samsung is trying to innovate as well, and OnePlus is doing it as well, but it might not be that apparent on the OnePlus 5 as it is apparent on the S8. So on the S8, I could ask for stereo speakers, I could ask for many other things as well that I find missing. Where is the second camera on the S8? Regardless of how good the second camera is, considering that the price you're paying for the S8, it makes complete sense that they include a secondary camera on the S8 as well. And they weren't able to include a secondary camera at the last minute is what they were saying. But why not? Samsung is a huge company, and OnePlus is a smaller company in that respect. And regardless of what you say about OnePlus being a relatively bigger company now, if Samsung couldn't do it, what makes you think that OnePlus can? So if you're forgiving Samsung and other brands for not giving you the best of components, best of things, and sort of doing cost cutting here and there, why are we giving OnePlus 5 or OnePlus as a brand a big pain in the ass by saying that they could have done better? Of course, their slogan is never settle, but then there's a limit to that as well. How much can you extract? At the end of the day, they're a business and they want to create profits as well. So there's a limit, there's a fine line, there's a balance that needs to be maintained between the kind of features that needs to come in and the kind of price point and etc. And I feel OnePlus have done a really great job with this. That's my personal opinion. And if you disagree, then that's fine. I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. This is just me voicing out what I think, and what I think is a bit unfair to OnePlus as a brand. So regardless of it, there are always smartphones. No smartphone is perfect. There are always pros and cons. But in the case of OnePlus 5, I think the pros outweigh the cons, and the price especially. You're essentially getting a smartphone at 50% of the price of Pixel or the S8 or the iPhone, but getting 90% of the performance. In fact, the OnePlus 5 is much faster than the LG G6 or the S8, and almost as fast as the Google Pixel in terms of performance, because of the way the software is optimized, the way the RAM, everything works. It feels really fast, really blazing. So I don't have any of the hanging issues or lag issues that the S8 has. But I'm fine with that on the S8, because I know that when I'm getting a Samsung device, this is what I'm getting. So the camera remains the weakest link on the OnePlus 5 as well. I'm not giving them any sort of credit for that. Camera has a long way to go still. And although the 3 was a step forward, I think the 5, even though 5 is also better than the 3 and 3T, of course, it still isn't a major leap. But with that said, you still get a great package at the price, and I think the OnePlus 5 is a hell of a offer for those of you who are looking for a smartphone that's maybe 50% of the price of most of the other products, but still want a great phone. So that's the kind of situation that OnePlus is in. I feel that they've done a good job, but we sort of expect too much from them considering the kind of phones that they've outputted in the past. Now maybe when they come out with the OnePlus 6, everyone will be happy again. But that's sort of how it happens, I guess, with products and product cycles. And if they come out with a 5T, I'm pretty sure people will be pissed about that as well, considering that they did get a OnePlus 5 and suddenly a new product comes. But then again, there are those others who wanted a better device but didn't get the OnePlus 5, thinking they'll get the 5T. So they have to please everyone, but when they do try and please everyone, people are angry at them for doing so as well. So they're sort of in a dilemma right now, and I think it's going to take some time for people to realize what is exactly happening. So that was just my 2 cents on the OnePlus dilemma. that they're facing right now. I'm currently working on the OnePlus 5 review and will bring it out to you guys at the soonest. Hope you've seen the OnePlus camera review already. If you haven't, click this here. And that's it for today's video, guys. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Thanks again for watching this video. See you again in the next one. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to get the latest updates from us. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in the next one.